Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the reading of the one-shot entitled Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's the summary. Rabbit, what do you want from me? He asks, voice low and gruff. He tries not to show his apprehension. Thinly, or not so thinly, laced with fear. The vigilante in question just takes a step further, and further, and further, before reaching into their backpack and pulling out a small burnt-up notebook. The pages are worn and some seem to be falling out, but the rabbit pays it no mind. They then open a page and, to Shoutas' confusion, bow. "Please sign my notebook, Eraserhead Sir." What? Or, Eraserhead is trying to gather information on and capture the notorious rabbit vigilante. He expects it to be difficult. He knows it will likely take months to earn the man's trust, except it doesn't, and Eraserhead quickly learns the rabbit is a huge fan who just so happens to have an oversharing problem. The first time he met the rabbit, he wasn't expecting it. The vigilante wasn't even supposed to be in his area, and yet there he was, sitting on the top of a roof with his dark green hoodie and faded bunny ears. He couldn't even get within a few feet of the boy before he shot up, staring directly at Shouta, then bolted. Nobody tends to see the rabbit unless he needs something from you. It was lucky he even caught the person in the first place, considering how rare sightings were. But then it kept happening. Footsteps further behind him on patrol, pitch-black marbles with green swirls being shot at the villains he's fighting. Green bunny ears in the corner of his vision. The rabbit was everywhere. Shouta couldn't get away from it, no matter where or when he patrolled. The rabbit wants something from him. Shouta wasn't worried. That would be ridiculous. Afraid? No. He's just a bit apprehensive. After all, people don't just earn the label of Musutafu's ghost from throwing marbles and beating up street thugs. This kid had a reputation, and one that Shouta does not want to test, which is why, when he hears light footsteps behind him one night, he immediately shifts to grab his capture weapon. When he turns, he sees them. They are short and thin, wearing a faded dark green hoodie with ragged bunny ears and an intimidating mask with sharp, jagged lines resembling teeth. "Rabbit, what do you want from me?" he asks, voice low and gruff. He tries to not show his apprehension, thinly or not so thinly, laced with fear. The vigilante in question just takes a step further, and further, and further, before reaching into their backpack and pulling out a small burnt-up notebook. The pages are worn and some seem to be falling out, but the rabbit pays it no mind. They then open a page and, to Shouta's confusion, bow. "Please sign my notebook, Eraserhead Sir." What? Shouta looks down at the so-called elusive rabbit, and he feels like he's just been put through physical whiplash. Not only is this person's voice very high-pitched and almost young-sounding, they are shaking. "I'm sorry, what?" he asks, tightening his grip on the capture weapon. It's okay if you don't want to. I get it. I just, you're one of my favorite heroes, and it's really, really hard to get signatures from underground heroes, so please, sign my page on you. I would really appreciate it." Shouta blinks, dumbstruck. Is this person actually serious? Is this a joke? I don't appreciate my time being wasted on such matters. The person deflates, and Shouta feels a bit bad for some reason. It's like looking at a scolded puppy. So, sighing, he grabs the notebook and picks up the pen, but Shouta freezes, now looking at the information written on the page. Where did you learn all of this? The person shifts uncomfortably and looks up at him with big green eyes. Oh, Rabbit's eyes are green. He'll need to write that down. Well, I really like heroes, and you've always been one of my favorites, but you're not really easy to get information on. So I may or may not have been following you for the last few weeks. I'm so sorry. Shouta cuts them off. I already know you've been following me. That doesn't change how detailed this information is. Like this. He points at a section relating to his capture weapon. How do you know it's related to my quirk? Nobody knows that. It's not public knowledge, even to close colleagues. Rabbit actually has the guts to shrug at that. I guessed it had something to do with the whole floaty hair thing. So I was right? They ask, practically beaming. Floaty hair thing. What are you, 12? He asks, a bit jokingly, after signing his name and handing the person back their notebook. So close, I'm actually 13. Shouta whips his head up to face them. You're what? Rabbit tilts down his mask to give a shit-eating grin. And that, he starts, is my cue to go. See you again, Eraser. He tries to shoot out his capture weapon, but it's too late. The rabbit is gone, and Shouta really, really despises his job sometimes. This is going to be so difficult to explain to the police. Shouta, we've been friends for a long time, and worked together for even longer. I am honestly astonished that you of all people do not understand the concept of a ruse. Shouta looks at Detective Naumasa and groans, exhausted of having to explain the same things over and over again. I told you, Detective, the kid. They said it so casually. Not to mention their voice, their height, everything, it just makes sense. I never took you as the gullible type, Shouta. I'm not gullible, I'm just... Ugh. Look, whether it's fake or not, there is the possibility of a literal child wandering around without any adult supervision, taking on villains 3 times his size on the daily. I do not feel comfortable simply letting this go, when this child could be killed at any given moment. Tsukauchi sighs. As much as I do not trust the rabbit, I do trust you. I'll assign you to the case, just don't mess this up, Eraser. The Hero Commission already is breathing down my neck to get this kid caught. I don't want you making it any worse. Shouta nods and stands to leave. Wasn't planning on it. From what we know about this kid so far, he's quiet, antisocial, and elusive. It would be hard to even get him in a conversation, even more so to get any information critical enough to mess with the case. And that, the kid says, is why Kachan isn't allowed around my action figures anymore. Seriously, how does one manage to accidentally explode an entire shelf of limited edition All Might figurines? I think he's just jealous that I got the Silver Age figure from that blind box challenge we did as kids. We even filmed a whole mini YouTube video about it. It was so fun, but Kachan is a little shit and couldn't stop being a total jerk. Shouta gapes at him. He exploded it. How the hell did he manage that? Oh, the kid perks up, eyes practically shining. It's his quirk. He sweats nitroglycerin. It's really, really cool. He then pulls up his sleeve, revealing varying sizes of star-shaped burns which, holy shit, what the hell? See? It's really strong. Unfortunately, he does have poor quirk control, but it's kinda hard to control literal sweat. Kid, why is he burning you? You are covered in burns, kid. Why the hell is he burning you? Oh, well, he's not the nicest and sometimes uses his quirk on me when he's angry. But it's fine. He doesn't mean to hurt me. At least I don't think he does. He's never done it on purpose, just activates it out of habit. Sometimes he feels really, really bad afterwards, and
He also cleans my desk when people write death threats, so he's cool.
Shouta is at a loss for words, combing his fingers through his own hair while trying to figure out where the hell things went so wrong for this kid. From what he's learned from the very few meetings they've had, Rabbit is smart. Really smart. Not to mention kind. He would run into a burning building without hesitation if it meant saving someone he's never even met. And yet, everybody in this kid's life, adult or otherwise, has failed him. He doesn't even know what the kid's home life is like, and if he's being honest, he isn't sure if he wants to ask. But it is important. He needs to ask eventually. A few meetings later, Shouta finally decides to ask about the kid's home life. It goes better than expected. At first. "Hey, kid."
Yes, Eraserhead Sir.
"Just Eraserhead is fine."
Oh, okay, Eraserhead. What's up?
I wanted to ask, do you have anyone in your life, other than me, who's there for you? A parent, friend, teacher, whatever. Anyone who you can go to for support."
Oh, yeah, I have my mom.
Shouta lets out a sigh of relief.
She's really, really nice and sweet. We have movie nights every Tuesday, and on Thursdays, we play board games, and oh, you should totally join us sometime. She would love to meet you.
Shouta's brain halts for a moment, before he just stares at the kid. "Rabbit, I'm a hero, you're a vigilante, and you're inviting me to your house to watch movies with your mother."
Yeah? So? I mean, you're cool. I trust you. Oh, and if you're worried about my mom, she already knows about the vigilante stuff. I'm like super bad at keeping secrets.
"You don't say." That last conversation led Shouta to a rather uncomfortable realization. Despite the kid hardly knowing him, he trusts the Eraserhead persona. A lot. And sure, Shouta knows he would never hurt the kid. He's grown fond of the boy these last few days. But it's worrying. Because if he trusts Shouta after such a short amount of time, how would that apply to other people? If the kid was approached by a villain, how easily would they be able to earn his trust? So, one day while waiting for the rabbit to join him, he sits at the ledge of today's meeting spot. The kid joins him. Typically, he would immediately panic and tell the kid to get away from the ledge, but there are metal bars blocking them from falling. It does give him enough room, however, to fit his legs through and dangle them off the building. The rabbit looks concerned.
Racer? Is something wrong?
"No, just... Kid, you do realize that I'm not trustworthy, right?" He tilts his head in response.
Huh? Yes, you are. You're a hero, and you're really nice. You listen to me when I rant, get worried about my scars, and let me ask you a bunch of questions about your quirk.
That doesn't mean I have good intentions. Sure, I know I do. But I could also just be lying in order to arrest you, or even worse." The rabbit stops kicking his feet back and forth, pausing for a moment.
But you're not.
Shouta sighs. "And how do you know that?"
Because I know you, and you wouldn't do that,
he responds, eyes furrowed together in confusion. At this rate, they are getting nowhere in the conversation. "Kid, you've known me for what? A few days, maybe a week? That's not enough time to properly judge how much you can trust a person." The kid's quiet for a moment, before he sighs. And then he looks up at Eraser, pulling down his mask. Under it is pale skin and freckled cheeks. There's a bruise, and Shouta isn't sure if it's from patrol or Kachan. This kid needs help, and Shouta doesn't know how to give it to him. Not yet. He smiles at Shouta, but it's sad as he says,
Well, I guess I've just never really had the chance to learn that. Thanks, Eraser. I'll keep that in mind for the next hero I get unhealthily attached to.
Kid. But the rabbit is already leaving. Shouta hopes the kid doesn't take the conversation to heart, but knowing him, that's unlikely. Shouta was worried that the last conversation would have broken Rabbit's trust. But if anything, he's been even more talkative as of late. Usually it's about heroes, his mom, or Kachan, but today's different. He's not surprised the kid's passionate about today's topic. Not really. Quirkism is a major problem in today's society. Shota's seen the results of it firsthand. It is, however, very discomforting that this child knows far more than some of the adults he's talked to. It's insane, honestly. Like, there's this boy I sometimes talk to online. He has a demon mutation that gives him really cool wings and a tail, but he gets bullied really badly for it, and it makes me so frustrated. He rants, waving his arms around angrily. He could be an amazing hero, but everyone around him treats him like a literal monster. Shouta nods. It is unfortunate. I was never bullied as a kid, at least not to an extreme extent, but I was often discouraged from becoming a hero, since there are common biases against villainous or weak quirks. The rabbit nods, now pacing. Exactly. I just don't understand why people are so idiotic that they can't look past their own biases. And just don't even get me started on how quirkless people are treated. Shouta sucks in a breath, both surprised and unnerved. Quirkless discrimination isn't a common topic. Hardly anyone talks about it. Even when they do, it's often muddled with lies and half-truths. People don't even like to consider the fact there are some out there who don't have quirks in the first place, so they ignore it. Ignore the rates of bullying, unemployment, suicide. How much does this kid know? For example, did you know that UA is the only high school in my area that accepts quirkless people? Sure, the others may say they do, but every single application is rejected without a second glance. They don't even care about how good my grades are or how motivated I am. It's like the minute they see the quirkless diagnosis, they forget I'm even human. Shouta feels the air leave his lungs, and he almost curses. But he doesn't. Instead, keeping a calm demeanor. You're quirkless. Rabbit seems to finally catch on to what he said, as he freezes. Shouta watches the kid basically mentally speedrun the 5 stages of grief before settling on resignation. Yeah, I'm quirkless. Sorry I didn't tell you, I just, didn't really want it to tie to my identity. They both know that's a lie. That's fine. It's none of my business, and frankly, does not matter a single bit to me. Oh. The rest of the night is rather quiet. Very little conversation being made outside of the occasional comment during villain fights. Nearing when they are about to part ways, the kid finally speaks up. Hey, Eraser. Yeah, kid? Do you still think I can be a hero? Or, well, vigilante, I suppose. Why wouldn't I? Because I'm quirkless. Kid, I don't care if you're quirkless. You're strong, an excellent fighter, and frankly, a better hero than some of my students in some aspects. I couldn't care less if you had a quirk or not. Oh. And like that, the kid's gone. Shouta needs to make some calls. Shouta. I know it sounds unlikely, Detective, but the kid said it so genuinely. He couldn't have been lying. Shouta! Detective, for the love of God, at least look into it. I can't believe you're making me do this. You do realize that even if he is telling the truth, it is extremely unlikely he's even in the system in the first place? We both know how biased it is. I know. But you need to at least check. I'm worried for the kid, Detective. Now Masa groans, running his hands through his short black hair. "If you end up getting stabbed or shot in the back alley by this kid, don't expect me to save you. Your blind trust in him is going to backfire, you know. It's unsafe to get so attached when he very well could be lying." "I know now, Masa. I'm usually not like this, but this kid, he trusts me so easily. I just want to be able to return the favor." "I'll look into it for you. If I find any freckled boys without a quirk, I'll call you." "Good. Thank you, Detective. I appreciate it." After a few arguments about the idea of stranger danger and keeping your identity a secret like you're supposed to, problem child, Shouta eventually relents. He had agreed to meeting the child's mother, under the circumstance that she would be disguised similar to the rabbit. It's not like he didn't want to figure out who the kid was. In fact, if the kid was ever in a situation where he had or wanted to reveal his identity to Shouta, he would accept it without hesitation. But he still had some rules for himself. Like, for example, not taking advantage of the fact this quirkless child who had been bullied and abused by everyone around him actually trusts Shouta with his home address. The idea of turning in the kid like that, it didn't feel right. So now he's here, waiting in a dark alleyway at 11 p.m. in order to meet the mother of a vigilante he's pseudo-adopted in the span of a few weeks. What has his life come to? He hears two voices get closer and turns. Walking down the street is the rabbit, and what Shouta can assume is his mother. She's wearing a dark green jacket and sweatpants with a black mask and eye makeup. Her voice is gentle and sweet, and Jesus, those two look similar. When the rabbit notices him, he beams and starts rushing over to him. "Eraser! Eraser! I brought my mom like I said I would. She's really wanted to meet you. I'm so glad you two could finally have a conversation." He rambles on, waving his hands excitedly. "God, this is so cool." Shouta hides a smile behind his scarf, holding out his hand for her to shake. She accepts it before bowing. "Thank you for taking care of my son. I was so worried when I found out about his vigilantism. I'm glad someone out there can protect him." Shouta feels a bit uncomfortable at the bowing and shrugs it off. "It's fine. That's my job. You have a good kid. I hope to see him in the entrance exam soon." That was what triggered the tears. He had begun to think maybe just the kid's tears were his actual quirk, but nope, just runs in the family, apparently. After a mini sob fest that consisted of watery apologies with Shouta awkwardly standing in the middle of it, they decide to just walk around and discuss things. The rabbit's mother— "Just call me Usagi, dear." "All right, thank you. It was a bit uncomfortable mentally referring to you as just the mother." Usagi chuckles and watches as her son practically hops around. Shota's never seen him this excited, and he would be lying if he said it wasn't adorable. Heaven knows this kid deserves something good in his life. "So how have things been going, during patrols and all?" she starts, before adding, Rabbit. Rabbit tends to tell me what happens during patrol, but he's also, not the most reliable narrator." Shouta ignores the slip-up, but does put it in a mental folder for later. "It's been fine. I do wish he would just wait to apply for the hero course, but the kid's careful and smart. I think he'll be fine." Even in the dark, he can see her eyes crinkle as if she's smiling. The rest of the night goes well, all of them stopping at a bench and drinking tea together. It was fairly nice, actually. After that, him, the rabbit, and Usagi sometimes meet up for the hell of it. It becomes just another part of their routine, along with the daily cat photos he's been sending in the group chat. Shouta doesn't even bother bringing up his meetups with Naomasa until they bump into each other in the break room. "So, how's the rabbit doing? Any new information?" Not really. Met his mother, though. She's quite a lovely person. Now Masa sputters, almost choking on his coffee. You... what? Shouta just leaves, styrofoam coffee cup in hand. He can hear yells from behind him, but he ignores it. Really is a shame, though. Usagi really does brew better coffee. Maybe he should invite her over for dinner more often. Shota's gotten used to seeing the rabbit consistently. It's been a few years at this point, and despite not actually knowing who the kid is, he still knows the kid. He's probably one of the only people who have actually taken the time to talk to Rabbit, and that fact upsets him. The kid's smart, jittery, and kind. His favorite color's red, and he loves Katsudan. He's probably spent thousands of dollars on hero merch, especially All Might, and has entire notebooks dedicated to heroes and their quirks. His mother's soft, protective, and gentle. She hand-sewed her son's costume and patches up his wounds when he gets hurt on patrol. She likes to read manga in her free time and makes wonderful tea. He's seen the kid without his mask on, obviously. But since then, he's also seen the hood come off, revealing green curls. He's seen his scars, heard his story. He knows the kid. At this point, he was basically a son to him. If it weren't for the fact he knows the kid has an amazing home life, he would have pushed Naomasa for adoption papers instead of arrest warrants. Which is why, when a green-haired boy was seen rushing into an active crime scene, clawing at sludge to save a blonde-haired boy, Shouta knew. He knew he had found his kid. He wasn't even supposed to be in the area. In fact, he hadn't showed up until the very end of it, cutting in front of the crowds of people just in time to see All Might save the day. He stared. He stared at the green hair, at the burnt backpack. When he locked eyes with the kid, with Rabbit, he smiled at Shouta, through shaky, labored breaths, likely still in shock. "Hey, Racer. Nice to finally meet you," is all he got out, before collapsing. Good thing Shouta had his capture weapon, as he wrapped it around the boy, keeping him steady. "Let's get you to the medics, problem child," he says, sighing. He's a bit disappointed, honestly. He was hoping he could have just kept the entire vigilante thing private until the kid gets into UA, but of course, the kid just had to commit an act of vigilantism outside of his rabbit persona. Maybe if he asks Nezu nicely, he can convince the commission to just drop all of the charges. It will likely be easy considering how often the law overlooks quirkless people. Shouta's train of thought comes to a stop. Quirkless. Shit, he forgot about that. What was it Tsukauchi said? Quirkless people, they can't be charged with vigilantism. If the rabbit is legally not considered a vigilante, how would that affect the process? Speaking of Tsukauchi, the detective steps beside him, staring at the likely still in shock child. Shouta sighs. "Detective? Eraserhead? What are you doing here?" "Ah, just here for some questioning. The other kid involved, Bakugo Katsuki, I think, he completely ran off, ranting about someone named Deku." Shouta groans, rubbing his temple. So that's the infamous Kachan the rabbit always talks about. Out of all the people the kid could have saved, it had to be his childhood bully. Okay, maybe he's a bit biased. Maybe he started to think of the rabbit as his son and has some sort of resentment to the kid he knows hurt his kid. But how could he not? "I see. Did you get the green-haired kid's name?" "Ah." He pauses, looking through his notes. "His name's Midoriya Izuku, age 14. We haven't gotten his quirk yet. The kid keeps insisting we don't need to know." Shouta winces, not wanting to think about what that implies. He must be worried they'll deny medical treatment if someone who overshares as much as Rep. Midoriya decides to withdraw information. Shouta hides his grimace in his capture weapon. I see. When you take him in, bring me with you. I want to talk to the kid. Tsukauchi stares at him for a moment, before nodding slowly, and approaching Midoriya in the back of the ambulance. It feels odd seeing the two together after all this time. Technically, he doesn't need to tell Tsukauchi about all the vigilante stuff. Sure, it's his duty as a hero to report it, but Midoriya is also technically not breaking any laws due to his lack of a quirk. So yeah, he doesn't need to tell Tsukauchi, and frankly, he debates on letting it go. But a little bug in his brain, the one that craves petty revenge, is squealing for joy at the idea of finally proving he's been right this whole time. So, when Tsukauchi motions for Shouta to follow him into the direction of the police station, he gladly obliges. Hopefully the kid will catch on quick. So, Midoriya, Tsukauchi begins. Can you start from the beginning? The rabbit, or Midoriya now, is sitting in his seat fidgeting nervously. Shouta recognizes the restlessness, the need to move or get the pent-up energy out somehow. So when Tsukauchi begins the questioning, Shouta is pleased to know the kid most certainly will talk his ear off. Unsurprisingly, Midoriya immediately perks up when asked to speak.
Of course, Detective. So, it all started when I was on a roof and I saw explosions from nearby.
Shouta cuts him off. You were on a roof. Midoriya nods.
Oh, yeah, I should probably start off from the beginning. There was some other stuff before Kachan got attacked.
Kachan? You know the boy in the attack?
Oh, yeah, he's my, friend?
Bully, Shouta interrupts. Tsukauchi gives him an odd look, a mix of discomfort and confusion. Shouta just shrugs.
He's not a bully, he's just...
Midoriya sighs.
Never mind. Yes, I do know Katsuki Bakugo. We go to school together, and have been by each other's sides since diapers. Like, there was this one time when we were around 5 where...
Please stay on topic, Midoriya.
Oh, sorry, Detective. So, where was I? Oh yeah, starting from the beginning. On my way home from school, I was attacked by the same sludge villain that got Kachan.
Shouta turns to Tsukauchi, who looks just as, if not more, confused. There were no attacks reported, at least not that either of them know of. They decide to not comment on it, instead waiting for the kid to continue.
It was really gross. He said he was going to use me as a skin suit. I genuinely thought I was about to die. Like, I was so close to passing out. Then All Might showed up. He, flung out of a sewer drain. It was so cool.
Ah, that makes sense. All Might is infamous for taking on more than he can handle, and just leaving his problems for others to deal with. This situation bothers him, though. If Midoriya almost actually died, why didn't All Might at least report it? It leaves a bitter taste in his mouth.
So All Might saved me and collected the villain in these sort of plastic bottles?
Wait, Tsukauchi begins. Then how did the villain get out?
Well, I sorta wanted to ask All Might a question, so I grabbed onto his leg when he flew away. I think that while we were flying, the bottles must have fallen or something.
Shouta gapes. I'm sorry, what? You grabbed onto his leg. Why? What question is that important that you would risk possibly falling to your death?
Oh, Midoriya beams. I asked him if I could be a hero. He said no, but...
He said no? Tsukauchi is the one who interrupted Midoriya this time, but Shouta wanted to as well.
Yeah, I mean, he gave a pretty good reason with his injury and all.
Then, Midoriya slaps a hand on his mouth, eyes wide. Tsukauchi looks equally as horrified. Why would he tell you about his injury? What was he thinking? You're a kid. Shouta feels at a loss for words, just staring at the two as they talk about something that Shouta is definitely not in the know of. God, he's starting to regret this. About 20 minutes later, the questioning is almost done with. Tsukauchi smiles softly at the kid and stands, finally done with the questioning. Shouta dropped a few hints to the vigilantism, but Tsukauchi still hasn't managed to pick up on it, assuming Shota's just talking about what happened today. So as they leave, Shouta turns to the kid and asks, "Hey, Rabbit, is your mother okay with me coming over today? I've been hoping to try the new coffee machine you two keep talking about." Tsukauchi's head shoots up from where he's doing paperwork, and in a shaky voice he asks, "Pardon?" Shouta looks over to him and tilts his head slightly. "What? What did you just call him?" Shouta grins. "Rabbit. It's just a nickname. Technically, a vigilante name counts as a nickname, right? So that shouldn't trigger Tsukauchi's quirk." "But that's the name of he—" The kid looks like a bunny. Nothing deeper to it. The kid does, in fact, look like a bunny. "But the rabbit! You said he was a kid and—" "Oh my god, this makes so much sense. The kid didn't use a quirk and refused to tell the first responders. Oh my god." Tsukauchi. Shouta sighs. "Quirkless people can't even be considered vigilantes. The kid's like what, 13, 14? It would be insane for him to pursue vigilantism at that young. You said it yourself." It seems to dawn on Tsukauchi just then what Shota's doing. He puts his head in his hands and groans. "I can't believe this." Plus, Midoriya, the rabbit, pipes up. "I would never be able to leave without my mom finding out," he says with a cheeky grin. Tsukauchi slams his head onto his desk and points to the door. "Leave." "Really? Not even going to investigate the kid any further?" "No. I know you're going to do some weird stuff, like force Nezu to bring him into UA for free. I don't want involved in it. I've already given up on this case, honestly." Shouta hums and ruffles the kid's hair. "Let's go, Midoriya. Zashi's been dying to meet you." All right, listeners, this concludes the one-shot entitled Down the Rabbit Hole. I would love to hear your thoughts and reactions to this one. I think it's such a great one. I especially love the dynamics between Aizawa and Tsukauchi in this one because, this is an element where Tsukauchi just let the man sleep. He is so tired, right? But at the same time, him and Aizawa are going back and forth, and Aizawa's being ridiculous, right, at the end of this fic where he's really messing with Tsukauchi because he was right the whole time. I love Aizawa and Izuku's relationship here. The fact that even though Izuku has taken on this vigilante persona, his mom is actually supportive of it, and so he's got a healthy home environment, but also he's got Aizawa as another parental figure, and Aizawa also sees himself that way. So I personally love how the author put this one together. This fic is located over on AO3. It does not have nearly enough support over there. So while I'd love you to leave comments here for me to see, but I'd also love for you to slide over leaving comments, kudos, support, things like that to the original author as well. I'm sure it would be much appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for listening.